BN, Helping Hearts Broadcasting Network.
Now, I don't know who sold us a lie that in order for us to have fun, drugs have to be involved. And unfortunately, we're living in a society that has normalized drug abuse. And as a result, it is becoming increasingly difficult to convince young people that there's no value addition in substance abuse. If anything, drugs have ruined the lives of so many people. Drugs have turned the lives of so many people upside down. So in our broadcast today, I want us to ask ourselves, what are some of the factors that are contributing to such an increase in substance abuse? A 2022 report by Nacada states that 1 in every 6 Kenyans between the ages of 15 and 65 is currently using a drug. Think about that. 1 in every 6 Kenyans between the ages of 15 and 65 is currently using a drug. There's a crisis in our hands. What is a drug? A drug is a chemical substance that alters the normal functions of a body. And there are many reasons why people use drugs. The primary reason why people use drugs is what? Is because drugs make you feel good. Yes, they do. Because there's a chemical reaction that takes place in your brain. There's a hormone in your brain. It's a neurotransmitter. It's a chemical messenger known as dopamine. And when you ingest alcohol, when you smoke marijuana, it causes your brain to release dopamine, and dopamine gives you that euphoric feeling, a feeling of pleasure. It's a pleasure reward hormone. So the primary reason why people use drugs is because drugs make you feel good. Drugs make you feel really, really good. There's another reason why people use drugs. People use drugs to self-medicate. Why? Because when the challenges of life become overwhelming, when you're faced with situations and circumstances that are beyond your ability to cope, what do? You self-medicate, yes? So when you are in despair, when you're facing frustration in your relationship, in your finances, in your workplace, probably you're dealing with a terminal illness, probably you're dealing with a legal situation, and there is despair which has overwhelmed you, drugs becomes your source of self-medication. I don't want to get into that because there are many reasons why people use drugs. There's a reason of peer pressure. Many young people succumb to peer pressure because they don't have the ability to say no to what is presented to them by their friends. So young people, it's very important for you to understand. You need to learn how to be an independent thinker. You need to learn how to say no. Learning to say no is one of the greatest gifts you can give to yourself as a young person, because unless you say no, you will be succumbing to people's opinion, people's suggestions. The thing is this, substance abuse is a learned habit. Substance abuse is a learned habit. Any habit is transferable. So if you don't learn how to say no, then that means you will always succumb to what your friends are telling you to do. So what are the factors that are contributing to such a rise in substance abuse? The first factor is what? Ease of access. Ease of access. Listen, and this is very important. Almost all drugs are readily available and easily available or easily accessible in the market. Almost all drugs are readily available and easily accessible in the market. There are 3 categories of drugs: depressants, stimulants, hallucinogens. All these drugs have an impact in your body. A depressant is that classification of drugs that slow down the function of your central nervous system. Your central nervous system is made up of your brain and your spinal cord. So depressants slow down the function of your central nervous system. Stimulants, the other classification of drugs, are drugs that speed up the function of the central nervous system. And then we have hallucinogens. Hallucinogens are drugs that alter your perception and reality. So there is ease of access of all these categories of drugs, so people can easily buy them. Even though some drugs are not sold legally, yet they are easily accessible. In our urban centers, in our communities, we have people who sell drugs to students, people who sell drugs in nightclubs, people who are strategically positioned in a manner or in a place whereby anyone can access them. The ease of access is one of the reasons why so many people are into drug abuse. The other reason why there's such a rise in drugs and substance abuse, especially among young people, is what? Lack of employment. There's too much unemployment in our society, too much. And listen, according to an article in the Business Daily, the World Bank projects that Kenya's unemployment will worsen in the year 2024, the one that we are currently in. And again, unemployment affects young people because, again, according to the 2019 census report, 70% of Kenya's populations are under 35 years old. 70% of Kenya's population are 35 years old and under. So this lack of unemployment is causing many people to have a sense of hopelessness. So when you are hopeless, when there's no hope, how do you alleviate that sense of hopelessness? Drugs and substance abuse. So if we are going to do something about the increase in drug and substance abuse, we have to counter it by making sure young people have a solid source of income. The other reason why people use drugs is because of unmet and unrealized expectation. Proverbs chapter 13 and verse 4, the Bible says, "Hope delayed makes the heart sick." Hope delayed makes the heart sick. When you have certain expectations, for example, you say, by the time I'm 30 years old, I'll have my own business, I'll be employed, I'll be married, I'll have ABCD. And by the time you're 35 years old, you don't even have an income. That unmet expectation can cause your heart to despair, because hope delayed makes the heart sick. So when your business fails, your relationship fails, when your health fails, it causes you to despair. And when you despair, you drown your sorrows in what? In alcohol. So these are some of the factors that we need to address. And this is very important, the fourth one. Glorification of drugs through media. The media, the TV industry has glamorized drugs and substance abuse. So many young people are very impressionable because they want to imitate their favorite musicians. They want to imitate the local celebrities. So unless we address this thing and understand that the media is playing a role in glamorization of drugs, there's a glorification of drugs through media, and many young people being impressionable are falling into the lie that you need to use drugs in order for you to look cool. You don't need drugs to look cool. You are good the way you are. So what is the way forward in tackling this drug menace? I am a firm believer that we need to empower our people with knowledge. Knowledge is going to be key when it comes to dealing with the drug menace. That means we need to raise awareness on the dangers and pitfalls that are associated with drug and substance abuse. So the civil society, the church, the state have to come together, the community leaders have to come together, join hands in raising awareness among the general population. Listen, if we bury our head under the sand and pretend this thing is not there, it's only going to get worse. But if we embrace what is currently happening and we face it head on, yes, then we will be able to raise awareness. If anything, we'll be able to raise, to help those generations that are coming up. We'll be able to help Gen Alpha, Gen Z, millennials, and those of us who are Gen X. We have to raise an awareness. Empowerment through knowledge. Empowerment through knowledge. What you do not know is what is killing you. Ignorance can no longer be accorded or referred to as being bliss. Ignorance is not bliss. Knowledge is power. Listen, I hope you shall join me in this fight so that we can rescue this generation. Good day.
Teaching, training, coaching,